Now you may be sitting there thinking, what the heck is going on with the front end of this brand new Tesla Model 3 Performance? It looks like somebody made their first attempt at installing paint protection film and did a horrible job. Well, in a sense, that's what this product is. This is a temporary paint protection film that you can put in on the front end of your vehicle or high impact areas for a wide variety of different use cases. This is XPEL TRACWRAP, and we're going to be going through all the different use cases of this product, talk about the product a little bit more compared to others on the market, and really figure out if this is worth the cost. So welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Let's jump into it. Now, long-term viewers of this channel know that I am not the largest fan of paint protection film, kind of in general. There are certain use cases if you have a matte finished vehicle, or if you have a special vehicle, a paint to sample Porsche that you're spending $20,000 on paint, not to mention the $200,000 that you're spending on the actual vehicle. Maybe you have a, $500,000 supercar or even a hypercar. In that certain use case, I think paint protection film is completely worth it. But in my opinion, on a vehicle like this that sits right around $55,000, spending between $8,000 to $10,000, 10 to 25% of the value on the vehicle by putting paint protection film on there, I just really think it's kind of crazy. You're really not going to recoup that money at the end of it. Maybe you'll get $1,000 on the kind of market where you're selling consumer to consumer, but you go to trade in a vehicle like this and you go, hey, I've kept my car in great condition. And in reality, something like this Model 3 really depreciates. The dealership isn't going to care that it has full film. It's going to be, this car's worth $30,000 in 2 years. Here's $30,000. Meanwhile, you spent an extra $8,000 to $10,000 just putting PPF on here. I also find that PPF is harder to clean because it's porous. It has a lot of issues with bug staining, even with ceramic coated vehicles. You have a lot of install errors out there. I find 9 times out of 10, PPF actually looks worse than a paint corrected, polished, and ceramic coated vehicle. And then you have edges lifting, really just from install error. So in my personal opinion, I think paint protection film should be used on a car that you're either keeping absolutely forever. It's a very expensive or very rare special vehicle. To me, it makes sense. You can tear the film off in a couple years and replace it. There's my spiel. I'll leave some more videos in the link in the description below. Now, in between full film and doing something like paint correction ceramic coating, where ceramic coatings absolutely do not protect against rock chips or scratches, I think there's a cool product like this. Now, this is made by XPEL. This is called XPEL TRACWRAP, and it's a temporary PPF. This is not meant to look pretty. This is strictly meant to protect the front end of your vehicle. Now, where and when and why would you use this? Well, let's say something like this. You have a brand new Tesla Model 3 Performance, and a huge shout out to my customer, Jim. Jim is actually from Louisiana. He picked this car up in Austin, Texas, just road tripped it over 1,000 miles all the way up here to Windsor, Colorado to have me go through, fully dial this thing in. And you'll also see this car a lot on out of spec reviews, where Kyle's going to be doing range tests on this car. He's going to be doing charging tests. We're going to do a lot of performance testing with the new Model 3 Performance, so stay tuned for that. Now, he, of course, was going on a quick road trip, and he wanted to protect the front end of the vehicle from bug stains and rock chips. Now, 9 times out of 10, where you're getting your most rock chips on your vehicle is doing road trips like this. Most people are like, I need full film to go to the grocery store when you're going 35, 40 miles an hour in an urban environment. Realistically, where a lot of that damage comes to the front, the hood, the fenders on your vehicle is coming from big road trips, blasting by semis at 80, 85 miles an hour on the highway. Stones are hitting the front end of your car and actually causing rock chips, of course, something that a ceramic coating won't protect from, but something that PPF will. Now, the whole real kind of invention of this product came for track days. Now, this product is really cool because you can actually put it over vinyl, you can put it over paint, and you can put it over paint protection film. Now, you may be saying, okay, that's kind of crazy, but in my opinion, this is great. Let's say you have something like a GT3. You have full film on it. It's a cool paint to sample color, but you like to go to track days. Now, instead of just absolutely thrashing your either unprotected paint or your fully paint protected filmed car, you can put this on top of it as a real sacrificial layer, tear it off, and the paint protection film or paint or vinyl looks amazing underneath it. Now, this product, I will say, it's a little bit tricky to kind of wrap my head around if it's expensive, if it's inexpensive, because if you're doing this often, of course, it can get quite expensive to do. This Model 3 Performance in front of me was about $163 to purchase this film. Now, this is not meant to be long-term, of course. I'm trying to figure out how long you can actually leave this on the car. Some of these say that you're supposed to take it off within 72 hours, within a week, and then I've seen up to 90 days. So I'm kind of not really understanding how long you're supposed to leave something like XPEL TRACWRAP on. It's installed very differently than paint protection film. You actually put this on dry. You're not using slip solution, tack solution, anything like that. You clean your car, you take a strip of this, boom, apply it, you squeegee it out, and that's why you have so many of these wrinkles in it. It's not meant to look pretty, it's just meant to protect. So in my opinion, this is great for someone like myself who paint corrects, polishes, ceramic coats my car. If I know I'm doing a big road trip out to the East Coast, West Coast, I'll throw some of this on the car. Once I get to my destination, rip it off. The front end looks perfect. There's no bugs on it. There's no rock chips on it. I think this makes a lot more sense. Now, the other use case of this product may be if you just purchase a new vehicle and you know you're going to get film on it, and you want to make sure you do not get a single rock chip that's going to be basically covered up by the professionally installed paint protection film. The reason behind that is if you get rock chip and then put professionally installed PPF over it, you're going to see this little air pocket in it. And if you're spending money on, paint to sample GT3 just comes to my head here, you really want to make sure the paint's perfect. So you go pick it up at the dealership. You can either throw it in a truck or you can put something like this on it. Now, the use case may be, hey, my PPF shop is 2 weeks out, a month out, and maybe I have to drive it 200 miles, 50 miles. It may be the case of you want to literally do nothing with that car until it gets film on it. And I think this is a way better option than Scotch Blue painter's tape. You see a lot of this stuff at track days and autocross events where the whole front end of cars are just covered in painter's tape. In reality, that does honestly no protection. It's so thin, it's not meant to protect it. It's literally meant to put on a wall so you can get a nice straight line of paint. This is actually meant to protect it. Now, this film is 8 mils thick. Something like XPEL Ultimate Plus, which is what you would use for professionally installed PPF, is right around 8 to 8.5 mils. Other paint protection films out there are very similar to that as well. Now, something like a vinyl wrap is around 4 mils. Now, that's where this, in my opinion, is really the way to go. There's another product out there called TRACWRAP, and that product is only 4 mils thick. It is half the cost of this, so you may be spending, like on the Model 3 here, 80 bucks instead of $162 to do the whole front end, some side skirts, A-pillars, mirrors, like on this vehicle, but you're not getting quite as much of the protection. Now, I will also tell you, my friend and colleague, Brandon TeslaFlex, that does a bunch of TikToks, YouTube, all that awesome content, purchased a brand new Model 3 Performance. He was getting full film installed on it. He actually purchased TRACWRAP, and what actually ended up happening is it didn't stick all that well and actually started to cause damage to the paint, which is not really what it's intended to do. It wasn't sticky enough, and what ended up happening as he kept driving the car waiting to get PPF on it, it started to basically come off of the vehicle. It got dirt in, of course, the sticky side of this film, and then it started sitting there rubbing the actual paint and like literally almost sanded the paint down. So in my opinion, if you're gonna do this, spend the money to do it right. So I would really not recommend the TRACWRAP. I found that it did not stick very well. It's also extremely thin. Now on the flip side, okay, yeah, it's a lot cheaper than this is, but spend the money and do this right. So again, I really think this is for the use case of, I don't wanna spend money on full paint protection film. I'm going on a big road trip. I like to frequently do track days, or maybe you're like me, I don't do track days that often. This is a perfect product to spend 180, whatever it is, every 2 times a year and protect the front end of your vehicle and not have to deal with the paint protection film install and the huge cost of that. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. But I want to bring you guys in a little bit closer, show you what this product looks like up close, and then we're actually going to be removing this product. I'm going to be doing full paint correction, polish, ceramic coatings on this entire vehicle. So we of course need to get this off. So let's bring you guys in closer and show you what this looks like. So let's talk about how this product is actually installed. Very different from professional grade paint protection film. This is not something you install with a bunch of slip solution or gel or tack solution, whatever it may be. It's a completely dry install. And that's cool because you can kind of do this anywhere. You can even do this when you get to the track, and you can, you're in the paddock there, you're getting ready to go on track, throw some film, maybe on the lower impact areas here on the front bumper, on the hood, whatever it may be. You can do it the night before in your garage. You do not need to be a professional to use this product, and I think that's why it's so cool. The other great thing about this product to others that I've seen on the market like it is it actually has air pockets in it. So it's very similar to something like vinyl. So it's a little hard to see on camera, but you can see the texture in it. It has these little air channels so that when you're squeegeeing it out, it really looks a lot more like vinyl. Now, could you make this look nice? I'm sure you could spend a lot more time. Of course, here on the hood, like you can see these flat areas, very simple to use. Essentially what you want to do, you have this large roll that's in this case 100 feet long. Kind of somewhat measure this, eyeball it, and go, okay, great. I just need, a 3-4 foot long piece here, and you cut those to size, put it on here, squeegee it. Now, my customer Jim here was actually really excited to tell me he went in and wrapped all the edges just in case there. I don't know, I think he had quite a bit of fun. Now, I think when doing this, you can definitely spend more time on it and it's going to look better, but I really don't think this really matters. This is not meant to look pretty. It's meant to protect. Now, the other thing I like about this product over track armor, again, I alluded to this earlier, is it's a lot stickier. So it's going to be great on a ceramic coated vehicle or sealed or waxed vehicle. So you're not really having to worry about it flying off, causing damage. Now, this car did have one fly off over here. You can see in this kind of bumper vent area. Not sure if it just wasn't put on correctly, if it wasn't squeegeed out. Whatever the case, it did fly off, but at least it's not doing what Brandon's did and actually kind of flapping over here and causing damage to the paint underneath. That's the whole reason for doing that. Now, over here you can see it's starting to pull up a little bit. That's going to be the case of this. Again, this is not meant to be something that you leave on for 2 years. I've done my research on this. I can't tell if this is supposed to be on for 72 hours, a week, or 90 days. I've seen everything in between. I think use it wisely. I wouldn't leave this on baking outside. Now, the interesting thing is my friend Brandon Teslaflex, when he got his new Model Y Performance in black last year, he actually did that because we were going on a road trip out to Tesla Takeover. He used XPEL TRACWRAP in this case, and when he pulled it off, there was actually quite a bit of adhesive on it. That could have been just because it was so hot in Vegas. I think he left it on for 2 to 3 weeks, and I was kind of telling him, I was like, I think you need to get that off sooner than later, and it left quite a bit of adhesive. Now, there are many different ways to take this film off. The ideal way to do it is to take it outside, let it kind of heat up, and then you start to peel it. Now, a lot of you may think really the ideal way to do this is to just come in here and peel it like this. This is actually how you get adhesive lines on here. But the nice thing about this, you can see it's quite sticky, but it's also coming off nice. Now, the way you really want to do this is pull at an angle like this, at a low, shallow angle. And basically you're stretching that adhesive off of there, and it's going to leave absolutely nothing behind. So I'm going to throw you guys on a little time lapse here, and we're going to fully take this off, and then we'll see how it did. I'm hoping it doesn't leave any adhesive here, anything like that. Now, one thing I do want you guys to be very careful with on this is, of course, when you're installing this, cutting on the car. Of course, you're going through areas like the door here, and some of these shut lines, you're gonna need to cut around that. Please be very careful with this. If you cut the knife into the paint, it will be there permanently. So do be careful with that. Just take your time. This may be the case of you want to get some thinner rolls and do a 3-inch one and just kind of cover up part of the glass here and even onto the trim, and maybe try and avoid as many shut lines as you can. It is completely fine to go over headlights like this. No issues with that. You can absolutely see it. But again, I think this product is fantastic. Now, one thing I'm a little concerned about is these air chambers, and let me tell you why. So these little kind of pockets of air you can see here. Now, I don't think it's going to be an issue, but I want to give you some background. Now, I used to work with a local Porsche store here. I was kind of the detailer who would take care of the big boy cars, if you will, the GT3s, the GT3 RSs, the GT2 RSs, the, big dollar Panameras, Cayennes, things like that. And Porsche used to put this plastic, and I believe they still do, this white kind of plastic that goes all over the car. And what you would see is they would have these kind of ripples like this. Now, I believe this to be a kind of a case of two things. So when they leave the factory, they put this on here in the high impact areas so the paint doesn't get scratched. And what actually was happening here, when they'd put that on and I'd take it off, it would leave a perfect impression of something like this on the car, and 9 times out of 10 it would actually etch into the clear, and I'd end up having to sand on a brand new GT3 RS because of the protection they put on there. Now, I think that's a case of a couple of things. I think the paint was super fresh and it goes on like immediately, like within 1 to 2 days of being actually painted. So the paint's not fully cured. Could be moisture in there because a lot of the times these cars, of course, they're not flown over here. They sit on a ship in a container, of course, across the ocean. They get to the port, then they're rail yarded up or they're trucked up, whatever it may be, and they were actually causing issues. So I hope that's not the case here. We'll kind of get into that, but I'm going to start removing all of this. I'm going to do it here indoors unless I see that it's starting to leave a lot of adhesive behind. Then we'll take this outside, but I'm going to be using that really shallow pull off area here. You don't want to just rip this stuff off. This is not the case of a product like this. You don't want to grab this and just go wham and try and get all of that off. Hopefully it's not sticky enough to pull paint, of course. That's always something that you worry about with a product like this. But let me throw you on a time lapse here and let's get this film off. Let me give you my thoughts on how this came off and really my review of the product on this Model 3 Performance. Actually pretty blown away with it. Came off amazingly easy. You guys saw me, I worked here in the shop. Not working under the sunlight, came off super simple. If you pull it off right, you're not dealing with any sort of adhesive. Look at the hood here, looks absolutely perfect. Now you can see some spots where some dirt worked its way underneath there. You can definitely see we've got some bugs down here on the splitter. You could absolutely do that whole splitter. The really cool thing with this product is, let's say we were going out to Monterey Car Week and we're going to drive a car. We don't want to have to fully sit there and scrub all the bugs off of it when we get to Monterey. Throw some TRACWRAP on there, drive out there, rip it off, boom, the car looks exactly like this. That is really, really cool and really unique. Even if you have paint protection film, I actually think putting this over the top of it is kind of cool because it saves the PPF. I know it's that dumb thinking of protection for your protection, but I'm telling you, PPF gets absolutely chewed up. When you get a rock chip in it, it basically peels the film back and it looks like a rock chip on your car, but it's in the film. So yes, you can take it off, but you've already spent money on it. Then you're putting more money into replacing panels. And that's really where I get at with PPF. If you have unlimited money and a very special car, do PPF. I think that is a great option. But if you're somebody like the owner here with his, $55,000 car, Yes, I understand that's expensive to a lot of people. It's expensive to me as well. I really don't see the value in putting $8,000 to $10,000 worth of PPF in here. I think doing something like this on your car, spending 160, 170 bucks, throwing some of this on there makes all the difference. I think this is a very cool product. It's going to be something that I use over here on my Model 3 Performance. You know, this has 8,500, almost 9,000 miles on it now. It's not been on a road trip. It's been up some canyon drives. This is really a commuter that I go have fun with as well. And as you can see, the front end's not blasted. I mean, yes, okay, there's a few small little rock chips, as I can see one right there. But in my impression, it's not really worth that money to do full film, but this is great to do when I go on a road trip or even a little rally, a track day, an autocross event. I think this product is awesome and I would highly recommend you purchase it. Now, would I recommend you do the track armor? That is literally half the price and also half the thickness of this. In my experience with it, no. Definitely try it out. You may be able to get it on better and it'll work for you, but in my opinion, just throw the 8mm film on there. It's going to protect the paint more. 4mm is really cutting the line on protection, because as you know, vinyl wrap, it can absolutely go through that, rock chip it, can still go through 8mm film and get rock chips into your paint. But I really think this is a great product and I'll be using it pretty much all the time when I do road trips with my car. This will be in the link in the description below. You can go over to Amazon, purchase some if you'd like. Let me know what you think about this product. I think it's a very niche product. You're not going to be using it all the time. I think it's for those events that you do. You know, this is not something like Kyle's going to use where he goes on, you know, he's doing a road trip every week. It's insane. So he's not going to use a product like this, but for me, it's perfect. When I do go on a road trip, when I do go to a track day, you know, a handful times a year, I think this is going to be what I'm going to use. So thanks so much for watching another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. We're going to get this Model 3 dialed in. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.